It's like 5 too. Go live. Yeah, we're going live.
It's live.
It's live.
Around Black relationships.
Oh, it's 7 o'clock. Okay.
Hey, look who's joining
Good evening, Instagram family. What's happening? Let me get situated. We're trying to get our formatting together and all of that good stuff. We're getting ready to get Mr. Sheba to join us in here in just a moment.
Yes, shortly.
She's still trying to get some additional bodies into the room.
I am here.
I gotta remember we've got
I am here.
a different camera angle this week, so I gotta get my visual aid going on. Okay, there we go. Now I can get.
I'm trying to get him right, everybody, so he knows what's going on.
Yeah, so I know what's going on. That'll definitely help the situation. See who we got in.
Hey, Julian.
What up, Julian?
Thank you for joining.
And
wrong remote.
yeah. This is what happens when you produce your own stuff. Like, you just we're getting it together here. Good evening, everybody. Welcome.
Ooh. You need water?
No, I'm good. I got my drink.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming and enjoying us.
I think I'm off
Fuck Your
center.
Feelings, the show. Again,
I've got to move in. I think I'm off center.
Oh.
I don't know which way we're supposed to move, but can everybody see me?
It'll catch up in a moment here. You need to come this way.
I need to come this way?
Imagining.
I don't know which way I need to go.
I'm moving more into it. Yeah, you need to come.
Hello. Thank you, everybody who's coming in. You can't see me, right? I didn't think so. Yeah, so I need to make sure. Rob, move to the left.
Yeah, that's what. All right, I'm gonna come over here. This more. Come on in. It's okay. You can be close to me.
We've changed camera angles.
Yeah, we wanted to get the monitor.
Move to the left. So maybe your left. Maybe your left.
This way. All right. Again, we got a little bit of lag on the monitor, so we'll get it together here shortly. Anyways, what you feel is a show changing the conversation around black relationships and specifically using ourselves as the model. We've got an interesting topic tonight, definitely.
The other way. No, the other way. Let me get up. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna make it right.
Figure this out.
I'm gonna make it right. Okay. So Rob, you're good.
Yeah. So you just need to get next to me.
It's me. I'm the issue.
Yeah, technical difficulties abound.
That's what happens when you produce your own content. But guess what? That means you own your own content.
Yes. All right. There we go. I think we should be better off now because I see I'm more and you're going to just have to come into me. Okay, good. Again, good evening. Multiple resets while we're figuring all this stuff out. As you can see, we've got one of our monitors in the background. It looks like we're a little bright wash more than I'm going to have to adjust the contrast on that thing there, I'm assuming. But I'm going to pass it over to our spokesperson. She's going to introduce probably our first corporate sponsorship.
So behind the scenes, I've been busy working, y'all, because, and again, that just popped up. So Sorrel and Sage is our sponsor. This is our first sponsor. It's called Sorrel and Sage. If you don't know what sorrel is, it is a drink that a lot of West Indian, especially Jamaicans, will drink during the holidays. And sage is known as an indigenous thing. However, a lot of West Indians also use sage. So we've got our sponsor. We've got some of their products back here. I put some of the beard oil, in Rob's beard.
I'm so distracted and just...
There's a lot. It's an amazing line. Rob even got his own. They came out for
nice
us.
Little swag set.
They got some swag here. If you can see this has got Rob's name in it.
Beard comb, a nice, very soft brush. I guess they're saying I need to brush my hair more, so I'm gonna try to get some waves going on in the next couple of weeks, y'all. While I still have some scratch on the top to be concerned with, I'm 45, trying to hold on to it. Hopefully, I get a few more years, and I might as well go ahead and try to get some waves going on.
A little bit.
I still can,
You got all that good hair.
I'm gonna let go of it when it starts going away. So again, I'm gonna try to enjoy that tonight. Oh, and just as a side note, completely, probably topic total. No, actually, I'm not gonna go there. I was gonna shout out a friend and his daughter and had a big milestone, but I don't think it's the topic.
Not the topic
on this show. Maybe we'll do that on
the other show.
Yeah, we'll do that on Saturday.
You're doing the most now.
On Saturday, it's just it doesn't seem appropriate for this.
So again, Sorrel and Sage, check them out.
Sorrel and Sage.
Shop sorrelandsage.com. Also, Sorrel and Sage CA on Instagram. We'll show you some of the products in
the oil going. It smells amazing in here. Like it's the body oil. You can actually put it in the oil lamp, and I mean it's just versatile products designed for the sensitive soul and sensitive skin. Myself, I suffer from eczema. So, I'll be itchy and scratchy a lot. And again, ever since I've gotten this little care package, things have been not much nicer. I've been smelling better. It's been awesome.
He has not been itching when we're outside doing Christmas stuff in Walmart, and this man will have his whole hand and be hearing scratching. Since we got this shop Sorrel and Sage stuff, he definitely has changed. I put it on his skin at night, and let's just say we having a good time. So thank you to Sorrel and Sage. Now, this week's topic.
Twins, what's going on?
Hello, Twins Inc. Yeah, right? Like mainframe, you don't even know what I'd be going through. I'm like, Bob, what are you doing? We're in public. So Sorrel and Sage is saving the day with the eczema.
Saving the day.
So today's topic, if you haven't read it, it's she's bisexual. What next?
What next? Yeah, that's so we had a poll with some interesting questions. We're going to definitely take a little spin on that question a little later into the topic. But I think, just speaking from the fella's perspective, in general, I think most guys are like, yeah, like that's what's up. I can sign on board for that. But there's always the other side of things. So that's what we want to talk about. What's next? If you're, a thinking man, a strategic man such as myself, you're always thinking what's next because, not everything that's good for you is good for you. So we wanted to use that as a topic. And again, there's a lot of conversation around our lifestyle and how we move, how we talk. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we had an open relationship show. And there was a commentary, oh, your girl's for the street. She's talking to you about an open relationship, all this stuff. So a lot of speculation. We wanted to not really set the record straight because we don't concern ourselves with that. But just having a conversation for some people, because again, myself personally, I've had the conversation with her. I think in general, women have a bit of bi-curiousness. I'm not saying that they want to act on it necessarily, but I think they thought about it, they think about it. So I think as a gentleman, as a fellow, you should make that a comfortable conversation if that is the situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm big on people living in their truth and being their authentic selves. We have a saying, if you like it, we love it. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much how we roll. So we wanted to set the stage for how that. What up, Kmart? My dude is up in this building. I know. See what's going on. Okay. Just talk about how we got to that. Again, we just marked our 1 year milestone. Again, we don't talk about ourselves as couple goals. We talk ourselves about how you work to stay together.
Stay together.
Work to stay together.
Stay together.
Now, when I met this woman, one of the things that were you reluctant to tell me that, or did you? How did you feel on disclosing that?
No, for me, I think I'm the type of person you just put things out on the table and let people know what they're dealing with. I think we're in our 40s right now. I've lived a long enough life on this earth to know that I'm comfortable with who I am. However, I also understand not everyone is going to be comfortable with who I am, and I'm not about wasting time. So for me, putting it out on the table was to be like, again, we were kind of divulging things about ourselves in quick succession. It was, again, if you not watched the show before, we were in a relationship within 10 months and living together within 3, and I used to live in Canada. So that should tell you a lot of things happen. And so for me, it was kind of like, if you're going to accept me, you're going to accept all of me. And contrary to popular belief, not everybody's so gung-ho when I say I'm bisexual, or there are people who are way too gung-ho and I'm like, whoa, Sonny. So I wanted to be able to say, this is who you're getting, this is the type of person I am, and I did want to see how you would react to me saying, so by the way, I'm bisexual. Because that's the one thing I started with, and then I added ... And we'll talk about the ...
The ... Yeah, because that's, first off, that's a very open definition to that term. That can mean a lot of different things. The first thing I would say, just from my own personal experience, again, I've traveled a lot, I've played ball, I've had exposure and access to different types of venues, okay, for lack of a better word. So things happen, you know what I'm saying? It's not an unfamiliar topic. Again, rappers and stuff been talking about my girl got a girlfriend since 2000, you know what I mean? It's nothing new in the culture or nothing like that. But I think there's still a lot of miscommunication, misunderstanding, a lot of what that actually means in the definition of a relationship, what that means in the definition of your lifestyle, what that means in the definition of your relationship, you know what I'm saying? Like all of those things. So when she hit me with that, I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of low key, like, did a little like, yeah.
Did you? This is the first time I've heard that.
I mean, again, because, I don't like feeling that options are just completely shut off, closed off, like in anything.
I'm dying.
So, when you broach that, again, okay. Again, when no one's watching, you do a little fist bump, then you compose yourself and act like, you walk across and grab your diploma, like, business as usual. So that was kind of it. I was like, okay, that's what's up. And again, what's next? What were the follow-up questions? So to me, instantly, I'm like, okay, so if you are in a relationship, what does that mean? Because being a bisexual single woman is not the same as being a bisexual woman in a relationship. Mm-hmm. And so what does that mean? So we began to have the conversation kind of surrounding that. And, I recall, you were kind of, say you've been in relationships with women, you had been in relationships with men, and going and just kind of sharing your experience a bit. And in that, I was able to kind of extrapolate what I was able to and just kind of share in a way that I felt would make you understand that, look, I get it, this ain't my first rodeo. I don't think it's like a free-for-all. I made some notes of like 3 points to discuss. I guess I could get into those right now. I made a little note on my phone.
So I love what Mr. Flowers 20 said, and he says that's transparency. And I think for us, that's why we even wanted to have this show. When we talk about changing the conversation around Black relationships, I think there is not enough transparency in relationships. And I think men especially recognize how much little transparency there in a relationship because there's the barbershop talk, right? I think a lot of women would be surprised about what men feel comfortable talking about in a barbershop with complete strangers that they may not feel comfortable speaking with their partner at home. Right. And to me, that was something we did not want to have. And so when I thought about creating the show, I wanted to be able to be like, listen, shots will be fired at me. I'm from the streets because I bring up an idea of, open relationships and all of that stuff. But who else am I going to have the conversation with?
Right. That's pretty wild, too. Like how, if she can't vent to me about whatever is going on, then that's kind of problematic, and that that kind of segues me. So I know we wanted to discuss something like, again, that's why we named the feeling "Fuck Your Feelings" the show. I care about her feelings. She cares about mine, but we believe that feelings can often get in the way of people having meaningful conversations. Mm-hmm. Because you put the other person in the position that they now have to be more concerned about how you feel about what they're saying than what they're actually saying.
Amen.
So we knew that was going to have to be a very big tenet in our relationship to make, because again, we're from different cultures. We see things very differently. We see some things eye to eye. Mm-hmm. I think major things we see eye to eye. But the day-to-day life, man, we are night and day opposites. I'm a bull in a china shop, and she is a little tiny scorpion that'll sting you and kill you. We have to have these type of conversations just to remain on the same page, to remain eye to eye. Difficult conversations are necessary sometimes because you realize that when you get out of your feelings, what the other person is saying isn't actually that bad.
That part.
It really isn't that bad. They're just saying how they see things. And sometimes that can be even cleared out with maybe they're misinterpreting something that you're doing or something. We have frequent frequently we have to untangle that because, again, we are from different cultures. She's very Jamaican, as she likes to say. And if you know Jamaicans, you know that they think there's the Jamaican way and the stupid way. You know what I'm saying? So, guess which
that
way.
That is accurate.
You gotta do things. You know what I mean? So, fuck your feelings is actually because you really do care about this other person's feelings, but you got to get out of yours so they can tell you what's going on with them. That's kind of what we think is really going on with that. That's kind of the energy that we try to let guide us.
Agreed.
Like if you saw last week's show, you know, we're now again approaching another topic. It was a little somber.
I was not happy with it. I was
a little bit in the dog. Not a little bit. I was in the doghouse, and it wasn't even a big, like, major transgress or that. But it was just okay. Basically, I was off last Thursday, and I fucked off the whole day, and she was not happy with that. And it was reflected in the show, and it got a whole bunch of. It opened a can of worms that your boy was definitely like, oh shit. Got a lot more. I just thought I was chilling, hanging out and shit, you know, smiling, drinking and stuff. And next thing you know, I came home into a whirlwind of fuck your feelings. But it was necessary. That's why I think we're able to get to where right now, again, Thursday, we're doing great. We're able to have a successful show tonight. We're able to have fun and talk about a topic like this without her having that resting bitch face like she had.
Last week I did. If you look at the promo videos, our body language said a lot. My mother-in-law was like, what is up with this energy? She could feel it through the screen.
It's funny. Okay, so back to the topic. Three pointers I wanted to have. Your girl tells you she's bisexual. What next? And again, we are going to add a twist to that later. First thing that I thought about with that is she's bisexual. You're not. Homie, relax. You know what I mean? I think a lot of guys take that information as a kind of free-for-all, open invitation to, you know, I met her.
I can have her. I can have her. I can have her. I can have her. And
I picked her up from the bus stop, babe, and you don't bring her home after work and stuff like that. Like, no, that's probably not what's going to be going on.
It's not. It's not.
So get that out your head a little bit, like, you know. Act like you've been there before and figure out what does that actually mean. There's women. I'm gonna let you take over from there for a moment. What does that actually mean from what you understand of being a bisexual man? What does that mean to you? Do you think to your peers? There's a lot of different ways.
There's a lot of ways to unpack that, right? Because again, I think people hear your woman is bisexual and there's all of these assumptions and not enough questions. The first thing I would say is, and we asked, this in a poll, if you found out your woman was, bisexual, is that a deal breaker? If you answer yes to that, there's no need to go any further with this discussion or with this talking or relationship or whatever it is. I'm assuming you haven't gotten to the relationship yet, but you're in the talking stage. If this is something that is a deal breaker that makes you uncomfortable for whatever the reasons could be, this is when you say that and say, you know what, as much as I respect that, it's not something I can rock with, and let that person go on their way. So that's the first part I would say. I think the second part of it is when she reveals that, please don't act too damn happy. Because I know there have been a lot of people who've acted and I'm just like, bro, like, I don't know why this is a happy thing for you. Because
007 with a license to kill.
Like what does that mean to you?
And even 007 doesn't go around just shooting people in the head, you know what I mean? He has a license to kill, but he has an expectation to have discernment on when he should kill and when he shouldn't. And again, I know that's not quite a great analogy, but
your analogies are usually not that good.
They're awesome.
But awesome. I think the thing about it is there are questions that need to be asked, right? Like, what does that mean? Does your family know? Does your friends know? Have you dated a woman? Yeah. Have you actually dated a woman? Have you been exclusive with a woman? What does that look like for you? What does that look like for you now? What does that look like for you in the future? Are you able to be monogamous in a relationship with just a man? I think there's all of these questions.
Are you sure you want to be with a man?
Are you sure you want? Exactly. And again, there's questions. Do not make assumptions Okay,
Right.
but I think you should ask questions.
I wouldn't say no, man, twins, because we were talking about a scenario like if you're a religious type fellow, that's not going to be cool. You know, like let's keep it a buck.
I've had guys who were
that's not probably going to work with the dogma of living a traditional church life. You know, again, I'm going through that in certain ways of my own. You know, or we are, and I'm just not going to get into that right now. But yeah, it doesn't really fit with, you know, that traditional being the hat, you know, church lady with the hat. You know, that conflicts with her trying to be in that mold or live that life, because in that venue, that behavior is frowned upon. It's considered sin. Like, call it what it is.
Right, and I think don't make assumptions. I would say that's the part that's what next. Don't make any assumption when it is revealed that the woman you're dating is interested in bisexual. I think again there's a lot of assumptions made, and also don't make comparisons. Don't compare the relationship she may have with a woman and the relationship that she has with a man. They're actually very, very different. I've dated, you know, 2 women seriously in my life. They're very different relationships and they're very different dynamics. But again, those are the 2 things I would say. It's what next? No assumptions. Ask questions.
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me. Second point, and these kind of run together, bleeding together a little bit, but like, bro, don't let that be the focus. Like,
it's a good one.
You're still like, again, my interest was still her, not all of the women standing behind her.
Oh no, not that.
You know what I mean? And I think sometimes fellas get a little carried away, and they let, you know, them feelings run, and they just run with it, and they start saying, like, again, I'm living my Bishop Magic Don Juan fantasy, and you don't forget all about, like, this person standing right here in front of you, you know what I mean? So, you know, don't let that be the focus. It's rules to this. You know, we have a show staged later, which is titled Threesome Etiquette. You know, again, some of y'all might need some pointers just because, again, that excitement that, you know, act like, we've watched a couple of shows that have had some hilarious
threesomes. It's hilarious
type of interactions and stuff. And again, when threesomes go wrong, it happens. It happens way more often than y'all would like to think it does. So again, that's for a later date. But you know, there's rules to that. You know, be patient. I think in general in relationships, like the man leads the relationship, but in the bedroom, let her lead. Like women are better at sex. Let's be honest.
That's definitely the case in our relationship.
Oh, geez. One of our most famous viral clips so far has been me admitting to my shortcomings in keeping up with this maniac over here. And it is what it is. You know, I don't feel no kind of way about it. I'm good. But yeah, it's funny. But so that's my mentality, my personality is like, you know, you need to be figuring out what she's into and be trying to support that. And again, if there's some like clear boundaries or something like, whoa, now you're not gonna be doing that to me. Like you need to address that and deal with all of that up front. So
yeah, I'm going to cut in. I actually I have no idea what he wrote down in these notes, so these are all a surprise to me.
Yeah.
I actually really appreciate that one in terms of focus on the woman and not the myriad of women that you think are behind her. Again, being bisexual is not a lifestyle, right? I think people think it's a lifestyle. Wow, I'm with a bisexual woman. Woohoo! And they think it's this lifestyle of threesomes every weekend and being able to be in a kind of open relationship and going out with your boys and picking every woman and saying, yo, would you like to be with me and my girl? Like, it's not that, because if it becomes that, it becomes such an insincere relationship for the woman who's already, listen, for me as a, you know, West Indian, as a Jamaican woman, I'm already tackling with my cultural and my religious background of what this means to me as a woman to be able to say it openly to people. When I came out to my mother, she cried and cried and cried some more. Like my mother cried as if like someone had died. And so I'm already tackling all of the things that I deal with from a family perspective and all of that with tackling my bisexuality. So it's not a lifestyle and it's not a free-for-all for any man I'm with. And so, revealing something like that is a sensitive thing. And so I think for a lot of men, I love what Rob said, focus on the women that you're dealing with and not the 10s or 20s of women you think you're now going to be able to have sex with just because you're with a bisexual woman. So that was good, babe.
Well, I appreciate it. I put a little
effort today.
Sometimes. All right. One of the third points of topic I wanted to do is, again, and let her do the choosing, the scheduling, etc. Oh. Don't forget why you're even in the room. It's like, take it back to high school. When you went to the prom, you danced with your prom date. You didn't go to the prom with your date and then go look for the girl you might have had a secret crush on and then be over there busting all your best moves on her. That's stupid, Again, the focus should be her. She gets to do the choosing. She gets to outline what the effigy of what y'all would be potentially interested in or looking for. And I say y'all as the two of us, but it's really only one of us making a decision. Because back to the first point, she's bisexual, not me.
And I love the fact that you use the word potentially, because again, just because a woman has revealed she's bisexual does not mean she's opening up a relationship to bringing other women in. That's the thing. She's letting you know that she's attracted to other women, is what she's saying. Yes. She may be letting you know that she's been with other women and been in relationship with other women. She's not saying that you and her are going to be out there picking, choosing, and refusing to be with other women. And that's why the what next.
Right. The
assumptions and all of these things and planning which are your exes you might be trying to pull, or that girl from high school or that girl from work, or men have been like plotting all of this stuff, and it's like, hold on, bro. Like, again, me revealing this is telling you about who I am as an entire person. It doesn't mean I'm opening up my relationship, because for some people, that's not the case. I wrote an entire series called the Sienna series, and it goes kind of down the line of what kind of happened when that went wrong and the repercussions for the next relationship, because she did open up her relationship and now she's like, crap, maybe I shouldn't be doing that, and what that meant going into a new relationship. So again, just because maybe the guy before Rob may have had it, I might have been the girl who was left out, because we have stories of people who go into that situation and they leave the girlfriend for the girl that they had the threesome with. Like,
go into a threesome and you leave and neither one of them is talking to you. Like, how'd you pull that off?
How does that work?
How'd you do that?
So again, you have to ask questions. There should be no assumption, because again, everything is a potential. And until you actually have a discussion and have a difficult conversation, because it might be difficult. Again, Twinsy, says, again, a lot of men won't be sad or mad. You would be surprised how many are. You'd be surprised how many, like, Toshiba, I'm not quite sure I can rock with that, because I don't know what that means.
Like, for instance,
what does that mean for our relationship?
And again, I how I feel about this woman's regardless, but I'm gonna just throw out another scenario where it's like, okay, she's bi, she wants to date other women, she wants to be active with other women, and as time goes on, she may be comfortable with letting me watch, but I'm not ever going to participate. I'm not ever going to really have access to that part of her life, but that's what it is. All of a sudden, like, woo, it's like, wait, who, what? How? Like that. Now again, and I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm not even saying that that's wrong. But I'm just saying, if you jumping for joy, waving your towel all of a sudden, and that's actually the context of what she's describing to you, you see that there's a big gap in that, and all of a sudden, what you were thinking was one thing is now something completely different, and what you might have been excited for now is like somebody just splashed cold water all over your ass, and you all disappointed now, and like, oh wow, and yeah, that's something totally different psychologically on whether you equipped to deal with that.
Because that's the part. Because again, how you structure your relationship after finding out that your partner is bisexual, and that could be male or female. Because we have questions here about it could be male or female. Like there could be a woman dealing with a bisexual man. Again, we watched a show actually where that was revealed, and it was very, very messy. And I honestly feel bad for men who are in a position where they are bisexual and identify as such, because it's a much harder road for them to travel than for me to travel. So, big ups to any men who identify like that, like props to you. But again, how you structure your relationship isn't necessarily going to be what you see on TV. What I might want, I might again just be saying, this is who I am, but best believe this is not, again, means that I'm going to open up. Or he might say, babe, I respect that's who you are, but I believe in 100% monogamy. And, it's fine to be out and tell me you're attracted to another woman, but let's be clear.
We got some people joining.
Hi, everybody who's joined. But be perfectly clear that it's going to be me and you.
Yeah, like I said, that's why what next, ... There's a lot of what next. We love playing that game, actually. Late at night in bed, we like to play the what next game. It's like strategy. It's like, so this happens, what next? So then this happens, what next? Well, so then this happens, what next? And sometimes situations that seem cool and fun and woo, all of a sudden you're like, I don't know if I like that, So that's a way of looking, at what may be coming down the road, because again, we talked in the open relationship discussion. This is the constant, So I don't want anyone to get that jammed up sometimes when we talk wild or crazy or whatever it might be, because again, we are both we pretty out there as far as how we ain't worried about what folks are thinking, But at the same time, we worried about what each other's thinking, very much so. And that ain't going to change for anyone outside of the core of this. So when we talk about what did that mean for us, we were able to align it because it was a situation that we both thought would be mutually beneficial to everyone involved, And that's kind of how we saw it working for us. So,
because it's all a part, we had, I think our second show, we talked about relationship contract.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it's not a written down contract and it is fluid, but we do have a verbal relationship contract. And that came about because we had to go back and forth with the what next, but what if, but where, but how, but why. We asked a lot of questions without any assumptions, without, again, fucking your feelings, right? We had to put feelings aside and say, a relationship is practical.
Yes.
So practically, if our goal is to stay together, what does this look like? What does it look like 2 years from now? What does it look like 3 years from now? What does it look like when we have kids in the house? What does it look like when we don't have kids in the house? Yeah. What does it look like when we live in this state? What if we possibly live in a different country? Like, we've had to discuss that. Like, again, being gay or lesbian or bisexual in Jamaica isn't a thing. It's not. I'm pretty sure if I look on the laws, it's still illegal. Our ultimate goal is to move to Jamaica. What does that look like for us? Structuring this relationship. Like, we've had to go through the what ifs and the what next and the where and the how and the why. And this is why we're talking about, this is how you change the conversation around relationships, specifically Black relationships, because we're Black and we can only speak to that. But the transparency that Julian talked about earlier, a lot of that isn't a lot of that isn't happening in relationships, and that's what we want to have, because that is what's going to create the longevity that people need. People are not keeping it real. And so, a comment about me being for the streets because I had an open conversation with my partner, my future husband, the man that I love and sacrificed a lot for, I thought was interesting. And I kind of laughed because I'm like, we're out here celebrating women, talking about fourth baby mama and then tattooing another man's name on her face the next week, but we're going to clown couples who are focused on staying together by having transparency.
Yeah, again, I think, that's, again, to each their own. But me, I don't really move in ways that I got to worry about secrecy like that. I don't. I'm kind of a transparent individual, but I like my privacy. Privacy and secrecy are two
different things.
Totally different things. And I think sometimes that we get them confused, especially in this modern era. Privacy is like everybody's business ain't your business.
That part.
Like, and your business ain't everybody's business.
That part.
But secrecy is don't let nobody find out. And we don't operate in that space at all.
And we didn't want that. We didn't want to be, and this is why for me the revelation was important when it came. And it came again, our relationship did transpire fairly quickly, but it came very quickly. It wasn't anything that I was hiding. It was like when we started talking about those aspects of our life, I'm like, by the way, just so that you should know X, Y, and Z. And this is how I see my life moving forward in the future. This is how I would like to structure my life. This is ideally how I see my life. I ultimately knew I wanted to settle down with a man, but these are some, components of what that looks like. That was important. Again, if you're going to lay your head beside someone at night and you can't be open them, are you not? That it feels like you're kind of sleeping with the enemy because if you're either for you, or against me.
Yeah, it seems like y'all really need to take that. And again, we please blast us anytime it feels like we're giving relationship advice. That is not what the fuck we're trying to do at all. Okay, at all. We are again. I've been called out. I am not the relationship advice. I am like Steve Harvey. Like don't fuck with me when it comes to talking about your relationship because I am not the guy. I will probably give you some bad advice. You'd be like, fuck that shit. And
my God, I can't.
Whatever. So, please don't. But if you're moving in a space that you feel like, oh, why are you talking about this with your sister, but you're not talking about this with your man? Oh, if I talked about him, he's going to be tripping. Then maybe y'all need to take a little bit of fuck your feelings into the relationship. You understand what I'm saying? If he can't get out of his feelings for you to talk about what you need to talk about with him in order to keep you guys going strong, what's the point?
And it's the same with women. What is the point if a man comes to you and he's expressing something and you turn around and say something like either you're being too sensitive, because we were talking about that today, right?
Like a lot of times when a man is trying to communicate his actual feelings, how he actually feels, because I know common belief is that the modern man don't feel shit. We just all out here looking for sex with no relationships and no commitments, and that's all we want. So when a man is actually trying to talk to you about his feelings, oftentimes it's met with you're so sensitive. I was just. All of those things are very dismissive and very offensive, especially in a world where it is difficult for a guy to talk about his feelings. For you to say he's sensitive or he's overreacting or he's being a drama queen is like, yo. And then you wonder why a nigga shut down on you.
And so, when we talk about the show being called Fuck Your Feelings, again, I think Rob said it in the beginning, but we'll repeat it. It isn't because we don't care about each other's feelings. We care about each other's feelings quite a lot. But what we try not to do is bring our own feeling into a conversation when the other person's trying to express what's going on with them or the state of the relationship. We have state of the relationship conversations all the time. All the time. We have what's the state of the relationship? What does it look like if this changes? What if it looks like if this dynamic changes? Again, it's what next, what if. We ask all of those things. So
we got a big what next coming up here in the next week or so.
Yeah, we've got some bunch of
contract, all of that, but those are good things. Like those are good problems, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's in flux. I think that's just a horrible way to go about. The calendar is changing. You marking off days and stuff like that. Why do you think your relationship is not aging or whatever? However you want to look at it, positive or negative, it's not staying the same.
And so again, when you're dealing with someone's sexuality, to think that what it is today is going to be what it is tomorrow or what it is next week, that's not the reality. And I think something as sensitive as sexuality, which for some people is fluid, understanding how somebody views sexuality and sex.
How they're wired, how they're programmed.
How is your partner wired? This is an opportunity when someone, again, is revealing that if you're the person who says, you know what, it's not a deal breaker, or you're the guy who thinks this is great, you know what I'm saying? Because some guys think this is great, woohoo, But again, what does her sexuality mean for the state of your relationship? Hello, Rick Smith. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Cuz Life Hustle. Thank you for joining us. What does her sexuality mean to the state of your relationship?
Okay. Oh, shall reset once again.
Thanks again. Thank you to Sorrel and Sage. If you're seeing again in the background, we've got our TV, we've got our corporate sponsor. We'll fix some of the issues, but we have a corporate sponsor now, Sorrel and Sage. They make skincare for the sensitive soul. Again, Rob has eczema, and we use their wonderful oil here in his beard and all over his body. And I've been happy to say he has not been scratching his skin like a crazy person. So Sorrel and Sage, shop Sorrel and Sage.com and Sorrel and Sage, CASORREL, and then Sage, SAGE.
Yes.
Go on, sir.
Okay. Lost my train of thought with the reset. So since it was a reset, we can just start back over into what's next. We can always respond with what's next. So
what was next for us, I think, was an actual conversation. I think Rob was very good at, even though he just shared that he was kind of like, he didn't share that at all. There wasn't there was actually a lot of questions.
Well, yeah, because I'm not an idiot.
And we're not saying that a lot of men who do this, Rob has had, again, different experience. After playing pro ball for 7.5 years, he's encountered a lot of things, and he lived in Europe for a lot of that.
They're very liberating. Yeah,
the European lifestyle is a little bit different than the American lifestyle, and if you've ever traveled to Europe, you'll know that. So again, he had experience, but again, we're not saying that the person who says yay and jumps to conclusions is bad. It's just that they have to be aware of the impact of the person now who's opening up their life and sharing that information, because it can come off very distasteful and insincere
and just selfish. Like shit, like you completely focused on yourself, like you were in your own mind making up all these scenarios and stuff.
The list of women that he can
that's just not normal. That's not a regular perspective. And if you think of it for a moment of how it would make her feel, or what it would be like being on the other side of that, you disclose something like that, and the other person instantly goes to, how does that benefit me?
Ooh.
That would be a little distasteful.
That is true. That's actually a good one. How does this benefit me? Because there may not be a benefit
for you
at all.
There may not be one at all.
And it does not make her selfish. It does not say, again, because someone's sexuality isn't necessarily to be shared. It doesn't make someone selfish if they say, I'm not willing to share that part of myself with you. And that means opening up the relationship to bring other women. It's not, I think a lot of guys, if they're with a bisexual woman and she says, yes, I want you to know that's my sexuality, but I also believe in complete monogamy. And so even though I desire other women, it could be that she fulfills that by you guys watching porn together that shows other women. Like, there could be other ways for her to fulfill that part of her that doesn't necessarily bringing a physical other woman into your bedroom. So again, how do you deal with that aspect of it? That's the interesting part.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just kind of pivoting off of what you're saying, like that you just have to absorb. That should be more questions at that time than it is any type of, oh, I got this figured out or I got that figured out. That, like I said, that's a very vague definition. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot that can get unpacked in that, and that's pretty much an excellent reason for additional conversation, And I think how that additional conversation really does set the stage for how, how comfortable that person is moving forward in that space with you, I think I was able to respond to her in a space where she thought that, like she said that to me earlier in a way, just to kind of share. She's like, I'm thankful to you that I'm always able to be myself, and that made me feel very appreciated. That made me feel very validated, because that's something that's important to me. I always want her to feel like she does not have to conform with who she truly wants to be and who she truly believes she is in order to make me happy. That's where, again, if you like it, We love it. You know what I'm saying? If she likes it, I love it, bro. It's going to give me a better woman ultimately. You know, so again, she knows there's certain things. If I step to this dude about, he's probably not going to be willing to sign off on that. And I think we know each other well enough to have, you know, that expectation that, you know, she's not going to come at me with no out of the moon, out of the solar system type of ideas, or, you know, about anything. But I also know that she's not going to introduce anything to us that's not going to be good for us. I have a saying, you know, when it comes to the possibilities of that, because again, we've also had our ideal relationship is a throuple. We've been fairly transparent about that. I.e., she has a girlfriend, and both of them are my girlfriend, and I am both of their man. But that is not a situation you can just jump into. That is a very specific situation. Mm-hmm. Hence, we are very, very, very selective about who we would even entertain opening this up. Because a big part of that, as we've had this discussion, is I believe I love her enough, she believes she loves me enough, that we have love to share. It's not, we don't have a selfish love style, either one of us. You know, I want her to be satisfied and stimulated from the world as well as from myself. Some people aren't wired like that. Some people really want to feel like they're the center. I provide for all of my partner's needs. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is a traditional monogamous, one-on-one, long-term type of relationship. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the way that we're wired, that's more uncomfortable than a throuple. And I know that may be hard for some people to understand, but for both of us, when we started having those conversations, and I was just like, oh my God, see, what people don't even realize is before I was ever married and had kids and had baby mama number 2 or any of that, when I would sit back and think about who my ideal woman was, bisexual was one of the terms that I had identified, because I knew how I'm built and how I'm wired, and I know good and well I would never be in a place where I'm like, oh, the rest of the world is ugly, the rest of the world is unattractive, and there's no way I would ever touch another woman. I ain't built like that. I know better. I am not that silly. So, and again, now what happened, transpired after that was, again, life is fluid. Life changes. You make plans and watch them crumble, you know. But at the same time, it's funny to be back here at a time now as I reset my life, and this person that came in, and honestly, that's not the number one quality that brought her into my life. To be honest, the quality that brought her into my life was, I remember saying to her, like, if I had a meeting and I couldn't be there, I would be comfortable sending you in my place, because I trust that you would represent me, not yourself. And you'd be able to speak for me as me. That's why she manages my Instagram and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, she runs it by me. You know, so no, she does. She manages fairly large chunks of my life because I don't like to. So she knows in order to get better results in those areas, let me take that over. You know, and so she's a wonderful administrator, executive, admin. Like, y'all don't even know where I have to be half the time. Like, my work meetings and stuff like that. Like, babe, what time do I got to? And it is what it is.
And I think, again, it's crafting a relationship that works for you. And I think that's the difficult part for people, because they allow the expectations of other people outside of their relationship to determine how their relationship should run. Fuck your feelings. Do you want a successful relationship? Because here's the problem. Everyone that has something to say about your relationship, a lot of them go home to someone else. Do you want to be the person who's got everybody else dictating how you should run your life, and that life ends up being lonely and single, right? And everybody thinks that, again, not all advice is good advice, and not all advice is meant for you to prosper. So for me, it was like, I intended to craft a relationship that worked for me and the person I was with. if this doesn't work for him, if we decide, you know what, we've been going through the process of finding someone else, and it's a little bit too strenuous, we're finding that it's creating, a problem for us, then we might reconsider and say, okay, well, we need to relook at this. Mm-hmm. Is this ideally what we want? Is this going to work? Do we need to step back from it? Like, what is it that we need to do? And again, it's crafting our relationship in a way that works for us. And I think too many people are getting in relationships and not having the difficult conversations about, okay, so what does our look like today, tomorrow, and yesteryear? Mm-hmm. And we've had to do that, and it's not easy because, again, culturally we're different. I technically actually live in Canada. I'm here, but there might be I got to go back and forth to Canada. There's all these things that need to be done, and we've had to craft something that we're like, okay, well, this works for us for now, for tomorrow, and yesteryear.
Yeah, so. Back to an earlier show when we had, one of the things was like, again, who is the author of your relationship? Who is the most important opinions in your relationship? Who is the most important factors in your relationship? And we think that if it's not the two people in that relationship, not the kids, not mama them, sis and them, cousin them, those people are all valuable and important, and their feedback is tremendous. And yeah, you probably shouldn't have to fight everybody in your life to have an okay relationship, you know what I'm saying? If everyone in your life is against your relationship, that might be some indicators that maybe some things ain't great or so, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, the two people, we both believe the two people that opinion matters most is each other's. That's how we move. That's how we operate. We're not really concerned if people think she's for the streets or I want to just tackle every stripper in Phoenix or whatever y'all think. I know she knows what I think. She knows how I feel. Most of the time.
Most of the time. I'd say 98% of the time. Yeah. I'm in tune with what's going on. So again, when someone reveals something, and it could be anything. I mean, we've used the bisexual thing because, of course, this kind of my bisexuality does frame a bit of our relationship, right? And he's had to deal with people who think that me being who I am cool. is not cool, and that is a detriment to his life and everything else. So he's had to have to Twins Inc. Funny enough, it wasn't him that reacted badly, but other people finding out about my sexuality has impacted his life and his family life. Funny enough, because again, not everybody can get and wrap their minds around this idea of sexuality and the fluidness of sexuality. So again, when your person, and it could be a man or a woman, when your person reveals that, you have to understand there's a level of sensitivity that has to be had with that revelation.
Yeah, I agree.
This is someone completely opening up the door to you, and what you decide to do when you go into that door is very important because it has a huge impact. Again, especially when you're dealing with cultural differences and all of the different things, you never know. So again, there are questions that need to be asked. Speaking of questions that need to be asked, I did some polls this week, and while we're talking about the poll, we don't really back up, but while we're talking about the poll, if you guys have any questions, if anybody wants to go live with us and tell us their experience of dating someone who was bisexual or anything like that, please let us know. All you have to do is press request to join, and I will happily go in and get your request. So if you are interested, again, in asking a question or going live with us right now, you just have to press request to join. So the 4 questions that I asked today was, number 1, a girl you're talking to tells you she's bisexual. What's your reaction? Is it positive or negative? 75% said it was positive. 25% said it was negative. Yep, she tells you she's bisexual. Is that a deal breaker? Yes or no? 25% said yes. 75% said no. A guy you're talking to tells you he's bisexual. What's your reaction? Positive or negative? It was the flip. 25% it was positive, 75% it was negative. He tells you he's bisexual. Is that a deal breaker? Yes, 75%, and no, 25%.
And for those of y'all that like to extrapolate all your information from what people don't say, No, I am not bisexual. Not getting into it.
No, he's not.
We're not getting into that. She is. I am a heterosexual male.
You are so funny.
That's that.
That's definitely making a clip. But I think the interesting part about it is the assumption. Again, a lot of people would think that 100% of men may say, oh no, I'm good, I'm straight, this is great, this is a positive thing. But again, you have 25%.
Hard on the streets for bisexual dudes.
It's very hard on the street for bisexual dudes. I feel bad for y'all. I'm sorry if you're a bisexual guy. It's hard in these streets. But it's still hard, again, for women because there's all of these layers of things that when it comes to sexuality, people put all of these labels on people's sexuality, like what does it mean to be bisexual or gay or lesbian or heterosexual? There's all of these labels that go onto it.
Put their expectations on what that means. People want to put their definitions onto that, and it's honestly the person who gets to define that. Is sexuality is not a thing that can be really defined broadly. It's an individual definition, like personality. You got to think of it more like that. And again, there's personality types. But each personality is unique because the experience, the environment, the life that formed that personality is unique.
So, and it's funny because I was thinking about it in terms of, and again, going back to Twins Inc. saying that a lot of guys, are happy about it. It's funny. On the other end, as a woman who's dated women exclusively, so again, and I've dated lesbian women, it's a very interesting place for me in terms of my experience because I only talk about my experience. I found that it's harder for a lesbian woman to date a bisexual woman than it is for a straight man to date a bisexual woman because the experience that I've had, there's a bit of jealousy with both of the women that I've been with. They were actually very extremely jealous because, again, I had the option, if I so choose, to go back. So even them seeing men interacting with me, how I interacted, I tend to actually be a fairly friendly person. I know it seems like I have resting bitch face, but Rob will tell you, I can walk into a room and make friends very quickly. I'm like, like it's what I do best. I did that well in the corporate world and I do that well in life. But that seems to be it's been a downside for me being in a female on female relationship, being bisexual. So again, just the idea of being bisexual isn't oh my God, everybody's going to love it and everybody's going to accept it because everybody has to have their experience. And I have to be okay with whatever experience somebody wants to have with that news, as they have to be okay with the fact that, again, it isn't a free-for-all.
No, it's definitely not a free-for-all. And like you said earlier, again, someone disclosing any type of sexual identity topic is a sensitive issue. They obviously trust in you enough to have that type of conversation with you, whether it's a cousin, a brother, sister, mama, daddy, whoever. It's a sensitive topic, you know what I'm saying? And whenever you're in the norm, whenever you're in the majority of any demographic, it's easy to sit in a position of comfort and thinking it's just that comfortable for everyone else, but it isn't. So the black man in me can identify with the sexual identity issues of this generation because the black man in me has been the only black man walking into a room full of white faces. So I know how that feels. You understand? And with that same feeling, I can just kind of extrapolate that onto being the only gay guy in the room or the only trans guy in the room or whatever. Now, I may not completely understand it. I may not completely be, bravo. But one thing I definitely will not do is try to throw shade or, try to belittle or make someone feel less than, because again, that disclosure of that information means that person is trusting you to receive that information with a certain amount of sensitivity. I would definitely.
No, absolutely. There is a certain amount of sensitivity that has to go into someone revealing, again, I'm bisexual or I'm whatever.
Gay,
and
whatever,
especially, again, for the men who've had to do that and reveal that to their female partners, like, that's a next level. But even for me as a woman, as I said earlier, not everyone has been open and gung-ho. And again, if you're one of those people who thinks that is a deal breaker, that's fine. Walk away from the person, but don't take it as an opportunity for you to tell them how disgusted you are with who they are.
Yeah,
it's hard enough being black. Trust and believe. For me, and I think a lot of people, there's this misconception that this is a choice and women are out there. There's a difference between being bi-curious and being bisexual. There are women who are bi-curious, that they have their experience and they go, really wasn't for me. This isn't something that I can help, because reality is, if I could, being a Jamaican woman who made her mother cry as if I was telling her I was dying, I would not. I grew up in a place where, again, if you're Jamaican, Batiman for dead, and all of these different things that are said. So I would not choose this part. It is a part of who I am, and it's a part of who I am, and I've known this since I was a child. So again, me revealing that isn't, I'm going to let you know so that we can start planning threesomes. Me revealing that is saying, if we're going to continue in this relationship, this is something that you need to know, and I need to know how this will impact you on a personal level, or how this will impact us if we decide to move forward.
Yeah. So I guess it's questioning time.
Yeah, but Rob's gonna go back and do his 3 points. Oh, you need your phone before we do. I'm just saying, you're just gonna so you can run it down.
Recap.
So recap his 3 points. When she says, I'm bisexual.
So what's next? This is just kind of pointers. If you're in this, you broach this topic, this is a subject for you. There was 3 points. What's next? The first one. She's bisexual. You're not. Again, hold your horses. Slow down, fella. Ask some follow-up questions. Figure out what that's all about. 2, don't let that be the focus. You're going to come off weird to her if you do. Like, she's not a rice cooker. You can just drag around to your favorite strip club and just start hooking up with random strippers that you've been fantasizing about for however long. That's not what it's going to be all about, bro. And the 3rd, let her do the choosing. Whatever she's into, she has a much better understanding of it than you do. And by nature, you're going to be making choices, decisions, looks based on what you're attracted to, not necessarily what she is, because they don't always have to line up. Even again, I could bring in a woman that looks identical to her.
I don't want a woman
who looks identical to me. She don't want that.
I'm actually not interested.
So again,
there should only be one me.
Let her do the choosing, selecting, scheduling. Let her make the rules around what that's going to mean for your relationship, and figure out whether you can be on board with that or not. Amen. Those are my 3 points.
So again, this is the portion of the show, if you're just joining us, that we ask some questions. Again, if you have any questions and you still want to go live, there's still a couple of minutes. But I'm going to have Rob pick a question. I'm going to read it just so people know my handwriting is ridiculous.
This is episode 11. I never can read these questions. Sometimes, but hardly.
What's a word or phrase people use that you can't stand? Oh my God, I want to answer this question, but you go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because I have to think.
Conversate. For the love of God, people, one does not conversate, one converses. Conversate is not a word. One has a conversation. They do not conversate, they can converse. So please, people, take the word conversate out of your vocabulary. The word is converse. So what's your word? I've been holding on to that for a while.
I don't know if I have one. Other than...
Word or phrase?
Or just, it's more of like when, again, I love my people, we always talk about that. But black folks, when we cross our T's with C's, it's like scratching nails across the board for me. I think every instance and inflection of that sets us back decades.
What kind of word is that?
Strawberry.
Oh,
Street.
People say strawberry? I've never...
Straight.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, we're done with that now. What do you think is the best thing about being in a relationship? What's the best thing about being in this relationship, I will say, is what our friend friend Julie and Mr. Flowers 20 said earlier is the transparency we have. We can't have a show called Fuck Your Feelings without actually having transparency. It would be very difficult. And I think if a lot of people really start taking a look at what it means to fuck your feelings when you're going into a conversation with someone that you love, I think it will actually help a lot of relationships. I'm just saying, we're starting a movement.
Yeah. And we didn't do shots fired this week. We didn't have as much shots fired, and we were kind of recovering from Brad fired shots of his own. So we just had to deal with all of that. So we'll get back to that next week.
This question, would you rather be smart or attractive? That's a good one for you.
Oh, that is so... How old am I?
There's no age. Would you rather be smart?
It does matter.
Would you rather be... You see how he is? Everybody he wants it like...
Syntax, context.
Okay, everything is context. No, would you rather...
I would rather be smart because I think... And again, as a guy that I think I got a little bit of both, I do tend to prefer the intellect. I think that opens more doors than just purely being attractive.
Good answer. My question. Again, anybody has any questions, feel free to know. If money didn't matter, what would you do with your time? What I'm doing right now.
Very true.
So, what I'm doing right now, for those who do not know, we host this show. I have another show. I co-founded another show called Not Your Typical Girl Talk. I have 7 books on the market. One I'm actually rebranding called the Sienna Series and compiling it and making it one book. Yeah. I have a book out called No Handouts for Black Girls, and there will be a new book coming out in March called Fuck Your Feelings, A Journey to Imperfect Love. So I'm actually doing exactly what I'd be doing right now, thanks to this man, because I don't need to worry about paying a bill. So,
and the book was my idea too.
And yes, it was.
It was.
The compilation.
The compilation, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can't read that. This is going to be his last question. I was just all up in your crotch.
Yep.
If you could achieve one life goal, what would it be? Ooh, you're getting the big ones today.
Getting the big ones. One life goal. This will make a viral clip. I had a nutty conversation with a friend of mine, and it was along the lines of this.
Help me, Jesus.
If I was China, I would offer every black American $100,000 in a job to move to China to see how much America, quote unquote, don't love us. But I bet you they would be very reluctant to see that exodus.
That would be interesting. Why China and not a country in Africa?
If y'all don't know about current events, and it's not something that the media in this country likes to talk about too much, but in the context of the global economy, the global landscape, the pin on the map for the last 200 or 300 years has been Washington, D.C. China is trying to take that pin out of D.C. and stick it in Beijing. Mm-hmm. And America is obviously not that very happy about that. And I can't necessarily say that I blame them. America has been on top for a long time now, and I think China very much feels like it's our turn now.
Interesting. And you think taking the black talent out of the United States of America and moving to China would definitely allow that to happen?
That would cripple America, in my opinion. Can you imagine if that offer were actually present to every black American that has felt the weight of the last 2 or 3 years and how this country really has made, I think in most black Americans' mind, we don't feel valued here. I'm just going to be honest. We don't feel valued here. We don't feel very welcomed here. But we know we contribute heavily to this place. So I think something that bold and audacious and something that, let's be clear, they can obviously afford would send such shockwaves through this country. You'd see a response in this country, I believe, of some type of restrictions to try to keep people from leaving.
That's interesting. Look at you. See? He is so much more than a cute face. Okay. What's your favorite time of the day and why?
Sunset. I told you we live in Arizona. West Coast sunsets are the dopest.
No, the sunset is great, and I do a lot in the mornings. I tend to put a lot of heavy things in my morning. So I'd say my favorite time of day is is the morning. My favorite time with him is at night when we go to bed because we have these wonderful conversations. But generally, my favorite time of day is the morning. We only have two more questions.
Thursday's our favorite day because we do fuck your feelings.
And we only have two more questions, so we might as well just empty the bowl.
Might as well empty the bowl. We'll have new questions next time. Yeah.
So, last question for Rob is, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A quarterback.
You wanted to be a quarterback? You've never told me that. So after all of these years of investment in basketball, you actually wanted to be a quarterback?
I loved football way before I loved basketball. But then, again, if you don't know my past, middle school early, we moved to Florida. I didn't touch a basketball probably the entire time we lived there. I played football nearly daily. That was the sport I was most excited about, enthusiastic about. Moving from Orlando, Florida, back to Rochester, New York, as you can imagine, kind of put a little kibosh in the football plans. Not a big fan of the cold weather. The school that I went to was a very run-heavy school. I just never, it just didn't hit the same way when we got back. Basketball was more the flyer sport, got more attention, and I just started getting good in ball, But
how many 6'9" quarterbacks are there?
I would have been like one of the first.
You'd have been a very tall quarterback.
I would have been like one of the first.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If I stayed in Florida, I would have definitely been out there like.
Clearly, anybody who didn't know his height now knows his height. I've never seen a 6'9" quarterback, so that would have been interesting.
Well, my boys would let me always play quarterback, when we played pickup, so they was obviously rocking with me.
All right.
I can hit you in the nose from like 30 yards.
So my last question and the last question in this bowl, and ladies, this might be one for us. What's worse, an emotional affair or a physical one? For me, I would, if Rob came home and told me he slept with someone else, I can get over it faster than if I go into this phone and see that he's been having long conversations with someone over text, or he's leaving to go outside and he's driving around for hours having long conversations.
Butcher dates.
Yeah, all kinds of different dates. Like I would be devastated. I would be less devastated to find out he slept with somebody. I would be a hell of a lot more devastated because what we have is so unique and so special. And compared to the other relationships that we've had in our past, even relationships that I see around me, I have my girlfriends who say, I love what is happening between you guys. Like, he brings out a side of you that we haven't seen. And I've got friends that have known me for 20-something years, helped me raise my 20-year-old. So what we have is so special. To think that he would share that with someone else, yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to get over it.
The secret sauce is I drive her crazy, and she secretly has this passion to make me stop, but I won't ever stop
Whatever, that is not the secret sauce.
Driving this woman crazy.
It's not the secret sauce.
One of my favorite things to do. She makes it so easy, yo. She makes it so easy.
Because you're annoying.
I love being annoying.
Anywho, so that is my question. I would rather Rob have a physical affair than having an emotional one. I know it's the last question. If there's any ladies who disagree with that, I want to challenge me on that. I want to go live. We can do that quickly. I'm going to wait 30 seconds. So if you're a woman who thinks, I'm crazy, what is she talking about? I'd rather my man have an emotional affair. Please let me know. Put it in the comments or request to go live, because maybe I'm just a little bit different. But him sharing his body and him sharing himself, because when you're having an emotional affair, you're sharing about yourself. Generally it's like your hopes and your dreams, and maybe what's going on with us. You're giving them insight into our relationship and things going on at work and all the things you share with me. To think that you go and you now share that with another woman. But if you and your boys went to Vegas and you hopped on your dick, I'd be perfectly fine. I won't say I would be perfectly fine. I'd be a little upset in light of the conversation we just had, but I could forgive that more than, again, for people that I have the password to his phone, he has the password to mine. I can go into his phone at any time. So if I was pulling up long WhatsApp conversations and text messages and insight and all this stuff, yeah,
we'll get into other things like that, but a lot of times, like I said, like messages, certain stuff like that, I'd be like, answer that. I don't even know how to say that shit.
Very transparent relationship. So thank you everybody who has joined us again. We are the Fuck Your Feelings cast, crew. We're everything to this show. We want to thank our sponsor again, Sorrel and Sage. Thank you again to Sorrel and Sage, who is our first corporate sponsor. If you're interested in sponsoring us, please let us know. But please ensure, go to shop sorrelandsage.com. It is an amazing new brand. Again, it has helped Rob with his eczema, and we've only been using it for a short period of time. And it also helped, again, they gave us this amazing gift, if you can't see, which is a monogram beard comb for his beard and a brush for his waves that we hope will come in. So thank you again, Sorrel and Sage.
By show 15, you'll start to see a little
bit of waves. So again, if you have any questions, comments, want to join us live, please let us know. Hit us up in the DM. Next week talk, we don't know what it is, but you have any ideas, thank you. Again, we're here to change the conversation around black relationships by telling people, fuck your feelings. Okay, thank you everybody. I have changed the whole setup, so this is gonna be different. I appreciate you. Thank you. Say good night, Robert. Good night. Yes, I am sure. Good night.